Welcome to the debate. Today we are examining a moment in history where, well, a math equation basically became a capital crime. We're looking at a time when the basic laws of physics were put on trial by an angry mob.
Right, and it forces us to ask a really heavy question. What actually happens when political dogma tries to overwrite reality itself?
Exactly. And to establish our source material clearly right at the top, we are discussing a very specific, custom-produced video.
Yes, this is a unique visual piece.
Right. We need to emphasize that this is a custom creation, specifically a design by Hat Hoth Hut Hut, which is built around an original idea for Hat Hoth Hut Hut Hut. It visually recreates a brutal public struggle session during the Cultural Revolution.
And the scene it sets is deeply unsettling. You have this physics professor standing on a stage, and he is just completely surrounded by aggressive red guards.
The atmosphere is, frankly, terrifying.
It really is. The mob is shaking their fists, they're singing revolutionary songs, and they are violently attacking him. But his crime isn't theft or treason in the normal sense.
No, his crime is literally teaching Einstein's theory of relativity.
Yeah, the crowd is actually screaming relativity must pay. It strips away all the normal rules of society and just replaces them with pure, unfiltered terror.
Which brings us to the core question we are debating today, emerging directly from this custom video. When we look at this scenario, what is the most devastating impact of this extreme ideology?
Is it the destruction of objective scientific truth?
Or is it the destruction of basic human trust and morality? Now, my position is that the absolute worst tragedy here is how political dogma destroys objective scientific facts.
Because you think that leads to everything else?
Right. The murder of the truth is exactly what allows all that human heartbreak to happen in the first place.
Well, I argue that the deepest, most lasting tragedy is how this extreme ideology destroys family bonds and, basic human goodness. To me, the physics debate is totally secondary to the human heartbreak.
Okay, so let's break down my side first. You might wonder how an attack on a science lesson becomes the core tragedy here.
Yeah, compared to a physical beating, why is the science the main issue?
It requires looking at the ideology of the Red Guards in the video. They operate on this very strict dogma. They're shouting, matter is the only absolute.
Right. They believe in strict material determinism.
Exactly. In their worldview, human history and the universe run on fixed, rigid tracks. And those tracks have to fit perfectly into their political rulebook. But then you have Einstein,
who introduces relativity.
Yes. Einstein proved that time and space are malleable depending on the observer. He showed that the only true constant in the universe is the speed of light.
So they see a physical law as a direct threat to their political authority.
That's it. Einstein had already rewritten the cosmic page. To an authoritarian regime that relies on absolute control of the truth, the concept of a relative universe is dangerous.
They can't control it.
Exactly. They can't control it. The core tragedy is this dangerous attempt to chain nature with a political text. When a society decides that politics can overwrite the actual laws of physics, it loses its connection to reality.
I see what you're saying.
If a government can declare that light is not a constant, then shared facts no longer exist. And without shared facts, society just cannot function.
You can't build anything.
Right. You can't build infrastructure, you can't cure diseases, and you can't have a justice system. So the suppression of science is the ultimate crime, because it destroys the foundation of everything else.
Okay, I acknowledge the severe danger of suppressing science. That is a huge problem. But my focus is entirely on the human element in this video.
The physical violence?
Yes. Yes, they are yelling about relativity, but look at the brutal, tangible outcome. The professor is being beaten to death simply for standing firm and refusing to lie.
It is incredibly brutal to watch.
And the devastation goes far beyond the public square. Think about his family. His own wife denounces him. She chooses to step away and hide rather than stand by the man she married.
Yeah, it's a profound breakdown of a personal relationship.
It's the absolute core of the nightmare. And the true horror really centers on his daughter, Ya Wenji.
She's just standing there in the crowd.
Right. She's standing right there, watching her father's pulse fade away while her own mother abandons him. That personal trauma is why she loses her faith in humankind forever.
Because the emotional damage is permanent.
Exactly. Look, science can eventually be rediscovered. Math equations can survive in hidden books. But when a daughter watches her father beaten to death while her mother turns her back, that human damage cannot be fixed. It alters her psychology permanently. That, to me, is the deepest tragedy.
Well, let's focus on the mob itself for a moment, and their specific chant, relativity must pay.
Okay.
I argue this shows how fragile facts become when they are confronted with ideological groupthink. The mob wants to crush the idea of relativity just to protect their political rules.
Because they feel threatened?
Right? They are threatened by a math equation. And why? Because an equation cannot be bullied.
Well, I come at it from a different way. I don't think the mob cares about Einstein or the speed of light or the nuances of theoretical physics at all.
You don't think they care about the science they're shouting about?
No, not really. The attack on relativity is nothing more than a mechanism for control.
But they are specifically targeting his physics lectures. If they didn't care about the science, why not charge him with something easier to understand, like, reading forbidden literature?
Because targeting an undeniable truth is the ultimate loyalty test. Dictatorships and extreme groups often force people to state obvious lies.
Like saying 2 + 2 = 5?
Exactly. If you can force a crowd of students to scream that a proven scientific fact is evil, you haven't just suppressed a theory, you've broken their minds.
You force them to surrender their own senses.
Yes, you force them to surrender their empirical senses to the group. The physical beating of the professor proves this is about raw human cruelty and establishing dominance. The science is just a convenient excuse for violence.
I don't agree that the science is merely a distraction. I really don't. Dictating physics is the ultimate form of control, because truth is the only unyielding obstacle to absolute power.
But the power is what matters to them.
Sure, but you can't put the speed of light in a prison cell. The speed of light doesn't care about their revolution. The mob is enraged because the universe operates independently of their political slogans.
So you're saying they hate the math itself?
Yes, they destroy the professor because they literally cannot destroy the math. When an extreme ideology takes over, facts are naturally the primary enemy.
That assumes the crowd is acting rationally, though, like they're trying to eliminate a philosophical threat. But a mob like this operates on primal fear, not philosophy.
They're still enforcing a false philosophy.
But they are beating him to show everyone else what happens if you step out of line. The message isn't relativity is wrong. The message is, do not defy the collective.
But that physical beating isn't just about controlling a crowd in a public square. The real terror of this ideology is that it doesn't stop at the public square. It creeps under the door and into the home. Which brings us to the wife's reaction.
Right. And her reaction is the actual linchpin of this tragedy. She denounces her own husband. To me, this is the ultimate victory of the extreme ideology.
Breaking the family apart.
Yes. It's one thing for a mob of strangers to attack a man, but when an ideology is so toxic that it forces people to betray their own family just to survive, it has successfully destroyed the most basic unit of human connection.
You view it as a destruction of fundamental loyalty.
I view it as an ideological quarantine. The wife cuts off the infected limb, her husband, to stop the political contagion from spreading to herself and her daughter.
That's a very dark way to look at marriage.
But that's what happens. A marriage is supposed to be a partnership based on mutual trust, but the terror introduced by the ideology turns family members into threats. Fear replaces love as the primary motivator of human behavior.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective on her betrayal. I argue the wife only betrayed him because objective truth was systematically dismantled first.
What do you mean?
Her betrayal is a symptom of an epistemological collapse, meaning the complete destruction of a shared reality.
Okay, but how does the destruction of a shared reality cause a wife to betray her husband?
Because morality requires a shared reality. Think of facts like gravity.
Okay.
Gravity keeps us all grounded on the same surface, right? It allows us to agree on what is up and what is down. When the government declared that matter is the absolute and outlawed measurable facts, they basically turned off the gravity.
So nothing makes sense anymore.
Exactly. Suddenly, words don't mean anything. Truth means whatever the angry mob says it means. If the truth is illegal, then lying becomes the only currency for survival.
I see.
The wife saw that reality was broken. She saw that the truth couldn't protect her husband. So, the death of reason directly caused the death of her marriage.
That frames her choice as a philosophical calculation, though, and I just don't buy that. When a person is terrified, they aren't thinking about an epistemological collapse.
They're just reacting.
They are thinking about basic survival. The tragedy is that the ideology weaponizes our biological instinct to survive and forces us to use it against the people we love.
So you think it's purely instinctual?
Absolutely. She didn't abandon him because she lost her grip on reality. She abandoned him because she understood the new reality perfectly well. In this new reality, loyalty equals death.
But that new reality was only possible because they successfully murdered the objective truth. If society still respected basic facts, the mob would have no power to threaten her in the first place. Her betrayal is a downstream effect of the initial crime of outlawing science.
Well, let's look at the ultimate downstream effect then, which is the permanent psychological damage to the daughter, Yao Wenji.
Right. She's watching all of this unfold.
She survives this ideological quarantine, but she stands there helpless, watching her father's pulse fade. And the narrative tells us she loses her faith in humankind forever.
The central question about Yao Wenji is why that faith is lost.
Right.
Is it simply because human beings are capable of physical violence, or is it because she realizes at a deeply formative age that human beings will consistently choose comfortable lies over difficult truths?
I think the mechanism of her trauma is much more visceral than just choosing lies over truths. The custom video highlights this beautiful, haunting metaphor. The absolute of matter was crushed by light.
A metaphor for her emotional state?
A metaphor for the harsh light of reality exposing the extreme fragility of human bonds.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, Wenji loses faith because she sees that human decency, a wife's loyalty, and the respect owed to a teacher, all these social contracts mean absolutely nothing against the raw power of a mob.
They just evaporate.
Completely. The ideology didn't just kill her father, it killed her capacity to ever trust anyone again. I mean, if you learn as a young person that anyone, even your own mother, will turn on you when the pressure is high enough, you can't unlearn that. The destruction of trust is permanent.
That brings up a critical tension in her character, though. I argue her trust is destroyed precisely because she recognizes the factual truth.
In what way?
She knows her father is right about the speed of light. She knows the mob is objectively wrong.
Okay, sure, she knows he's right.
And the agonizing contrast between his quiet adherence to the truth and their loud, violent lies, that is what cements her despair. She doesn't just see humans as violent, she sees them as willfully ignorant. She loses faith because humanity actively chooses the loud lie over the objective reality.
But does a traumatized child really care about the objective reality of physics in that moment?
I think it plays a part.
She stops believing in humanity not because they are bad at science, but because they are relentlessly cruel. When someone is hurting you, you don't care if they understand relativity.
No, but
You just want the pain to stop. The fact that this torture was wrapped in a debate over a science lesson makes the event absurd, yes, but the physical and emotional abandonment is the primary impact. The pain is what lasts, long after the political slogans change.
But we can't separate the physical cruelty from the intellectual suppression. They are tied together. The cruelty was specifically designed to enforce the lie.
Okay, but the cruelty is what she feels.
Yes, but Yao Wenji sees that truth is powerless against violence. That's a far more devastating realization than just people are cruel. It means the universe itself, the speed of light, the laws of nature, cannot save us from our own irrationality.
And that realization leaves her completely isolated. She realizes that no physical law will step in to stop human cruelty.
Right. We need to summarize these arguments clearly for our listeners.
Good idea.
In exploring the source material, and again, specifically the design by Hot-Ho-Hot, built around the original idea for Hot-Ho-Hot, my position focuses on the danger of destroying objective truth.
The attack on science.
Yes. When a society attempts to force nature to obey political rules, the foundation of reality crumbles. By attacking scientific facts like relativity, the ideology creates a world where power replaces truth, and that makes all the subsequent violence and betrayal completely inevitable.
And my position focuses entirely on the human element. The real tragedy here isn't the suppression of a math equation.
Right.
It's how extreme fear forces people into an ideological quarantine, turning family members into enemies. It's about how this terror permanently ruins a young woman's ability to trust. It proves that our fundamental human connections are terrifyingly fragile when they're pressured by a mob.
Both of these perspectives highlight why this specific historical scenario demands our attention. It forces us to confront the actual mechanics of societal collapse.
It definitely does. It asks us to measure the weight of losing our grip on reality against the weight of losing our humanity.
We want to pass this question to you, the audience. When an extreme ideology takes hold, what do you believe is the more dangerous consequence?
Is it the loss of objective truth and shared facts?
Or is it the loss of our interpersonal trust and family bonds?
As the custom video suggests, we encourage you to drop a comment below and share your perspective.
Think about the foundation of a functional society. If it collapses, what must we prioritize rebuilding first? Do we fix the rigid structures of verifiable scientific truth, or do we repair the fragile networks of human empathy that make us want to live together in the first place? Thank you for joining us on The Debate.